Hello and welcome back to SiGMA TV. Now we're going to be taking a look at discussing new markets and 2020 growth in the gaming space. And joining me to share his insights from Digitain is Martin Clarke. So Martin, great to talk to you today.
Lovely to meet you, Jessica. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Very, very welcome. Now, starting off, I want to discuss some of the opportunities that come from new markets. So first of all, where's Digitain setting its sights moving forward?
So Digitain rapidly expanding at the moment. Probably seen the news recently. We launched in Portugal after securing, product certification there. Good for me because I have a history of living in Portugal actually. So I've got an understanding of the local market and what the customers want there. So I've been able to kind of help the guys in that respect. Our sights are firmly set on LatAm and Africa. I mean, that's pretty clear for most kind of big operators today in the last couple of years. Everybody's kind of focusing there. Both regions are very much in their infancy, when it comes to kind of iGaming. Not necessarily iGaming, but definitely digital iGaming. So online iGaming. Obviously, a lot of those territories, they've got, expansive kind of retail operations. But when it comes to online, they kind of don't. So, we realize that another thing, though, with those, they obviously get a lot of challenges there because what you can't do is just flick a switch and just switch on your product in those areas. There's much, much more to it.
And you mentioned there, so Portugal was a great example of your kind of experience in the region. You know a little bit of the clientele because you have lived there, and also some of the cultural benefits. So that comes to my next question of what are some of the challenges that do come from launching into completely new markets?
I mean, some of the things I'm about to say, would be quite obvious to most people. I guess first and foremost, international regulatory divergence is probably the key one, okay? And different territories have different regulations, and they're always changing, which is interesting as well. That topic's been covered a million times. Okay, my thoughts, they generally won't be any different. What you've heard I learned before. I actually think one of the primary challenges really, and one of the biggest blockers, definitely that we found, and speaking to other people, is in gaining real tractions in these new markets, is going in there with a proper product market fit. That's a big problem, and people aren't really focusing on it until it's too late. Shoehorning a generic one size kind of fits no one product into every jurisdiction, it just doesn't work. It's been proven by many operators who have gone in there and just failed. Yet, many still do it. What we've found in any new market is, there's a distinct preference for local, established providers who kind of know the market. All right. Regardless if that's LatAm, Africa, Europe, Eastern, whatever you may be, customers really want a service that speaks their language. I mean, I think you can go to any kind of industry and you get the same thing. And why is this a challenge, though? Well, the challenge because, if you don't enter a territory with the right product that meets the customer's needs, you're going to find yourself, investing in expensive kind of marketing campaigns to kind of acquire customers and retain those customers. And that becomes even more costly if you acquire those customers and then they quickly realize your product actually doesn't meet their needs. And they're going to go back to what's kind of tried and trusted, if you like.
And as you mentioned there, there's no cookie-cutter approach for operators when they are looking at new jurisdictions or new regions as well. So Digitain, for example, their partners are from all over the world. And in new markets, how do you adapt your products then around the world based on the region that you're working with?
Lots of different things that we can do. We've got offices in kind of different locales, which I'll kind of get to in a moment. But as I kind of already mentioned, customers expect you to speak their language, okay? And if you don't, they'll find someone else who will, right? And what we've recognized is, adapting the product to fit the market in multiple jurisdictions, it's not easy, okay? This is not easy. And, as I just mentioned, a lot of people have failed to do this, and a lot of people continue to struggle to do it. And for many operators, they are, let's be honest about it, they're using 20th century technology stacks, and many of them are doing it, and that's a kind of problem. Fortunately for us here at Digitain, I just mentioned kind of regulatory divergence always changing. Fortunately for us, our platform is built in the 21st century. So, in terms of product iteration, variation in response to those kind of regulatory and customer feedback, it's not really a problem for us. They're problems that we can solve pretty easily. We have a scalable platform, etc. So focusing on what the customer actually needs, that's what we're doing. We're entering these new markets. It's also, this isn't rocket science. Customer loyalty is hugely important, right? I mean, it's applicable to every single business in every single industry. But I don't know what it is in iGaming, but you find many operators entering territories with kind of substandard products. And, I've gone on record as saying this many times before during talks like this. The iGaming industry, it's years behind other industries. It really is, especially when it comes to providing customers with kind of product choice and variety. We're just not doing it. I mean, almost every single company in this industry operates under the assumption that they know what the customer wants, right? That they know how to build it, and that nothing's going to change along the way, right? Which is kind of what I just referred to with all these kind of legacy technology stacks. They never thought that, international regulatory divergence would be something that would happen. It just didn't. And there's other things that's happening right now that they're not just foreseeing either, right? So, everything looks the exact same right now. And if you take, I'll give you Africa for an example, some of the problems that we found going into that particular territory. Any operator entering into Africa without the likes of football, jackpots, and lotteries, you're creating a serious problem for yourself, just there and then. And, in some other territories, you'll find that the likes of odds pricing on events, it's kind of less important. Whereas, having the right payment methods or understanding the right promotions that meet that customer, that's what's successful. But you'll be amazed at how many people overlook these things. But for those who do understand them, they're the people who are growing and becoming successful. Again, like modern product people, I'd like to think I'm in that bracket, operate with these kind of set of beliefs, right? So we build products knowing and understanding the customer's needs. And we kind of do that through, continuous discovery. What that does is, it reduces uncertainty. In some points, it eliminates that uncertainty, and it helps you evolve your product fit. And ultimately, that gives you a significant competitive advantage when you go into these particular territories. As I mentioned at the start of the kind of question, and sorry for being so long-winded on this, Jessica, we kind of solve those problems by setting up local offices and kind of finding kind of professional people in those particular areas, establishing a kind of network of contacts in that locale, and really truly understanding the region's needs. Because I mentioned, like, you can't just shoehorn one product into everywhere. It's just not going to work. So, building the right product for the right audience is a lot about what I'm about, but also what Digitain is about. But it's not easy. And, if you don't have the kind of underlying support and technology, you're kind of going to struggle in that respect.
And it also sounds like time constraints might also be an issue here. If you look at an operator that's looking to quickly branch into a new region, they might not undergo the Q&As and market research that they would need to take, and that might be where some of the problems do stem from. And you mentioned your and Digitain's process there. Is there a time frame that you normally give before you branch out into a new market? Do you say 1 year? Is it even longer? How does it look for Digitain?
It's very dependent, and it's an excellent point. It really is, because what you tend to find is pressure from a lot of shareholders. Okay, so if you look at kind of some of the top people in our industry, they're kind of owned by shareholders. Fortunately, Digitain, I mean, our CEO is the kind of shareholder and the founder, and he acknowledges the time constraints and the time frame it takes to go into these particular places. So there's definitely a need for focus. But I do sympathise somewhat with kind of other operators and other companies, because they have shareholders knocking the door going, hey, why are we not going into this territory? What's going on? And then exactly what I just came back to a few moments ago is you end up going into a territory with not the product market fit. You then struggle to acquire those customers, and particularly easy to acquire them because you can just spend some money, but very difficult to retain them when your product doesn't meet what they're expecting. So going back to answer the question, it's about being patient and understanding that what success looks like from going into a new market. I think that's the key, and that's where lots of people are struggling right now. And I think we've been a victim of it, but by no means am I saying we're the best in the world. We've recognized that these are the problems that we faced, and now when we do establish a kind of new market, a new territory, it's taking the right approach. Because actually we know if we take the right approach, yes, we may invest more time to go live, but actually when we actually go live, we got the right product. And I think that's the key thing here. And like I said, I do understand that some companies just aren't in that position, but I think the results will speak for themselves.
And now if we look back in you particular, since your newly appointed role, so you joined Digitain in April as Director of Product Management. So congrats, first of all. It has been a challenging time as well if we look from April until now, especially because of the whole COVID situation. So how have you found the role so far?
To sum it up, exciting. I'll be honest, completely exciting for me. Digitain has a diverse kind of suite of products. So learning about each of them in the opening few months has been an interesting path for me, particularly with the business moving to remote working environment on the second day I started in the company. So that's never easy, right? Fortunately, I've worked remotely with teams before, so it's not something new to me. And I'm sure most of us have been in a similar situation. But actually, for the company, Digitain, they never worked remotely before. They didn't have to. Everybody's based in Armenia, and that's it. So actually, what I will say is that they've adapted really, really well to it. They've accepted it. They've identified the problems that they have, and they're working through solutions to make it more effective. From my perspective, I'm a big fan of face-to-face communication. As when you start in a new company, you want to kind of build those relationships with people. Fortunately, I kind of have established a kind of leadership group, both within the company that I can get myself involved in, but also within the kind of product management team that I know that the right support is there for me. So that's been key. It's not necessarily about me coming in and, this is how we're going to do things, let's go and do it. That's not kind of my mentality. I like to see kind of where the problems are, help people to try and solve them. So it's been exciting, but also a challenge for sure. And I'm sure now everybody's facing challenges right now. I think fortunately for me, and again, it comes down to lessons, I guess, over the previous years, particularly in recent years, I've recognized, the benefits of focus. And as much as coming into a new organization, you want to learn everything. I mean, you just can't. It's just math. It's impossible, okay? And if you do, you're just going to run around like a headless chicken, all right? I've been known to do that many times. But, for me, there's lots of things, not just in business, but in life, there's loads of different commitments that we have, but what you kind of recognize over time is a lot of those commitments are just a kind of recurring debt that you have to pay for with your time and energy. So what I've done is understand actually where do I need to focus, but and in life as well, right? Because things have changed in that respect for all of us as well. So that's kind of been the key thing for me. Where do I focus my time and where am I focusing my energy? I hope I'm doing the right thing right now. I think I am. Things are going really well so far. So fingers crossed they continue.
Well, it certainly sounds like it has. It sounds like it's been a very busy few months for Digitain. You've got some great achievements under your belt as well. So congrats on that, and really excited to see more updates from the team as they come through. So Martin, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks very much, Jessica, and best of luck and stay safe to everybody watching. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much. That's all from myself and Martin. We'd love to hear how you found this interview. So share your thoughts with us in the comments.